Hi, this is Linda Richardson, and in this video, we're going to be talking about corporate governance. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why is this so important? Because every organization has a corporate governance team, and they're required to have it to be part of a corporation. Corporate governance talks about how we're going to manage our company and who is going to be in charge of doing what. So let's take a look at what this means. What is the legitimacy in an organization? An organization has a certain amount of legitimacy and validity so that we can believe in the organization in terms of their product, their services, and who they are as a company. So it's the belief in the righteousness of an organization. In other words, they are who they say they are, and we can trust what they say they can do. It's based on the norms of the institution, which in turn dictates culture. So we look at somebody like Patagonia. Patagonia has been known for being very clear about who they are, what they stand for, what is important to them, their code of ethics, their code of morals, their code of values. Everything is very clear on their website, and we can depend on them for who they are culturally. It is artificial in the sense that it is constructed and maintained. It is dependent upon the ongoing acts of belief within the organization. The artificiality comes from when a company is not doing what they said they were going to do. They are putting it on their site to make others believe that they do what they say they are going to do. And it's known as greenwashing. In other words, the greenness comes from the environmental piece, but not necessarily. The greenwashing means they said they're doing things, but they don't. As beliefs change, so does the legitimacy of the organization. I think that Nike is an excellent example of this. In the beginning, they were doing a lot of offshoring, and their feeling was whatever the country in which they were doing some business in, whatever their laws, policies, and beliefs were, that's what we were going to do. However, it was not, because they were using a lot of child labor. There were a lot of other issues that were going on, and Nike turned a blind eye to all of this. So their beliefs did change, and so did the legitimacy of the organization. They are considered to be far more legitimate than they were years before. And should a company conform to societal expectations? I think that would depend. What are the expectations? Well, we look at Budweiser and Target, for example. In recent years, they were in support of LGBTQ, and there were folks in society who were customers of theirs who were anti-LGBTQ and said not going to happen. Same is true with abortion. Organizations that supported abortion and folks who said, no, I will not support that, and turned their back on that organization. Some examples that we can think of are Hobby Lobby and Chick-fil-A, for example. They are highly religious organizations. They are closed on Sundays. They do not expect their employees to work on Sundays. Goldman Sachs and other financial institutions had a firm belief during and after the pandemic that you came back to work, and that was their belief. What is corporate governance? Well, it's the method by which a firm is governed, directed, administered, or controlled, and to the goals for which it is being governed. And this comes directly from our text. An organization determines its governance by the board of directors. Who do they select to be on the board? We don't want to select a lot of yes people. We want people who will challenge our thinking and help us become more progressive and profitable. Directed by those who the board of directors feels are the best to lead our company, the administration, the control, and so on. Concerned with the relative roles, rights, and accountability of each stakeholder group, such as owners, boards of directors, managers, employees, and others who have a stake in the firm's governance. So the company takes its time to understand its stakeholders, not shareholders, stakeholders. Shareholders own a piece of the rock by investing in it. Stakeholders are people who have a stake in the business, whether they are competitors or customers. Anybody. We look at an example like Walmart. I'm a shopper at Walmart, so I'm a customer, but let's say I never bought a thing at Walmart. I'm still a stakeholder because they're in my community. And they may need, for example, for our community to put a stoplight in where they let out to a major road. Well, I get to decide as a member of the community whether they should have that stoplight or not. I even get to decide as a member of the community as to whether they can build in my town. Maybe I don't want them there. So I am a stakeholder. I want to introduce you to the Business Roundtable. Please look up their website. They are an association of more than 200 chief executive officers of America's leading companies representing every sector of the U.S. economy. They support 1 in 4 American jobs and almost a quarter of the U.S. gross domestic product. And through CEO-led policy committees, Business Roundtable members develop and advocate directly for policies to promote a thriving U.S. economy and expanded opportunity for all Americans. The Business Roundtable is made up of folks who are more progressive, and they spend a lot of time examining the economy and determining how we can move forward. Their intent is not to remain as we are today, because that does none of us any good. They are more concerned with how do we move forward. The Roundtable was established in 1972, so they've been around for more than 50 years now. It's 52 years. And they've served as the voice of America's leading CEOs in Washington. They have a rather powerful lobbying group. Members work closely with policymakers from both political parties to advance sound economic policies to spur job creation, expand opportunity, and strengthen U.S. competitiveness. So I am going to look them up. Here we go. Business Roundtable. I'm going to pull them around. Here we go. Okay. So let me see if I can move this. Oh dear. There we go. The Business Roundtable. And here's their website. They call on Congress to pass tax reliefs for American families. CEOs work together on private sector. Let's look on the left-hand side there. They were on the 6th ministerial meeting of the U.S. European Union Trade and Technology Council. They have a statement on the passage of the final FY24 spending bills. Higher education leaders discuss how to build an ever-ready workforce. CEOs discuss the U.S. economy, pro-growth, and so on. There are a lot of incredible things to look at here to inform your thinking about where you would like to go. There's our Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. I don't know who any of those folks are, but in any case, leadership in action, different areas that you can take a look at. I encourage you to take a look at this website. It is, let me see if I can bring this down, businessroundtable.org, okay? Policy perspectives, they talk about the work that they are doing in various aspects of our society and economy. Different things involved with research, about us. Let's see who their board of directors are. This should be interesting. Cisco Systems, General Motors, Bechtel, we've heard of all of these companies. TIAA, Apple, oh, interesting, Tim Cook. JP Morgan Chase, Land O'Lakes, Citi, and so on. So there are a lot of important people here who are very involved with a lot of aspects of our economy. Interesting. So please take a look. All right, moving on here. Let's look at the corporation's hierarchy of authority. You might think this starts with the president, and I would say to you, not exactly. It starts with the state charter, and they need to have a charter in their state, focusing on our shareholders, who owns our company, our board of directors, who makes informative decisions about the president, the chief executive officer, and higher level officers within the organization. They can determine at any time to fire, hire, promote, demote. Board of directors also has some influence on the management of the corporation and the employees. Let me move this over. Okay. So we look at pre-corporate versus corporate ownership. In pre-corporate, we have the owners who may have shares of stock and so on, and the managers who are in control. But when we become a corporation, it changes. The owners no longer have the ownership they thought they did. Now, they may own the controlling shares of stock, which would be 51% or more. But as a corporation, the articles of incorporation protect them from most if not all liability. The shareholders are also protected, but the board of directors bear responsibility when something goes wrong. So the shareholders have ownership, the management has control. So in terms of governance issues, agency issues are developed in the separation of ownership and control, when the interests of the shareholders were not aligned with the interests of the managers. And the managers are agents with the responsibility of representing the owner's best interests. Managers carry out the vision of the leader, but they also carry out what was in the strategic plan for this business. And investors often read the strategic plan to determine if the company is going in the direction that they thought it was going to go into, and that is why they invested in them. They want to make sure that we're not pursuing self-interest ahead of the owner's best interest. Managers as agents have the ability to do this because they have more information about the workings of the company. For example, managers of the corporation may try to grow the company to avoid a firm's takeover attempt in an effort to increase their own job security, or we're talking about their own self-interest. However, a takeover may be in the shareholders' best interest because the company taking them over is willing to pay more per share, which will increase the value of the share, which is in the shareholders' best interest. Similarly, managers may consume corporate resources in the form of perks, like extra vacation time, use of the jet, different stock options, and so on. We require board interdependence. It's a crucial aspect. The difference is that we have inside directors, and outside directors are independent from the firm and their managers. They're not yes people. They come from a variety of backgrounds, and they're able to provide that level of knowledge that we don't get when we're relying on inside managers. Inside directors have a lot of influence in the firm. They understand how the place runs. And when they work directly with the outside directors, they can figure out the best way to run this company. Since the implosion of Enron and its aftermath, changes in public policy and public opinion have led to an increase in the percentage of independent directors. In Canvas, I have for you our CEO salaries out of control. I have an article for you. Please take a look at it. And this video is really interesting. Congresswoman Katie Porter grills billionaire CEO over pay disparity at JP Morgan. In other words, she was showing them that the CEO at JP Morgan was making a lot more money than anybody else there. And as a result, he was taking advantage of the company. All right, I'm going to end this here and finish with the second part, so stay tuned.